This is Maker Galaxy.
We're always talking about the future of design, the future of technology, the future of making. In a world where smart cars will drive themselves in rush hour traffic, a world where 3D printing is enabling the blind to experience outer space through touch, how do we find the next big thing? Maker Galaxy is a show that explores the crossroads of design, technology, and the future of making. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Simon Martin, and this week we spent some time in Detroit for the North American International Auto Show, where we talked with the 2015 Ford Mustang Master Sculptor, Kevin Goff. Kevin got his start in the automotive world as a car designer before moving on to the role of Master Sculptor, where he uses everything from CAD to clay to help bring big ideas to life. We'll talk with Kevin about how he got started in the field of automotive design, what tools he uses, how he approaches the design process, and what his favorite design element is on the new heritage-inspired Ford Mustang. Today's show is brought to you by CAD Junkie. For those looking to step up their CAD game and stay on top of the latest in software tips and tricks ranging from SolidWorks to Rhino and Modo to Adobe, check out more and get a free membership over at cadjunkie.com. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Kevin Goff, and I am a digital master modeler, and I work for Ford Motor Company. And actually in 7 days will be my 10th anniversary with Ford Motor Company. And I've worked in Irvine, California for Ford, and also in, obviously in Dearborn is where I'm at now. So
interesting. So what originally drove you to automotive design?
Just cars. I love cars. My father was my father's a certified car nut, and he has a 1950 Ford that he's restored, and he's had it for ever since I can remember. And so just going to car shows with my dad, and basically being a Detroit guy, I love the automobile, and so
cool. So when you design your vehicles, what influences do you look to? Is it more like architecture or nature? I mean, how do you put together your inspiration board or mood board?
Well, as far as what I do, I will get my inspiration from. It actually depends on the product.
Okay.
If something's organic, I will. I just keep my eyes open and observe. I don't know, nature, like you said, or. But a lot of times. I guess it's just something inside of me that, you can make a car look right and
totally.
Light and, or
more of an emotion.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, but for example, like the 2015 Mustang, what about, where did you start? Like you had a blank piece of paper in front of you. I mean, how did you just start to gather inspiration?
Well, the heritage of the vehicle.
Okay.
That was like that's always one of our factors that we look for is with this vehicle is all of our vehicles are actually customer driven. We want to make sure that we attract new people, but also we want to cater to the people that have been loyal to the brand, that bleed and breathe and love Mustang. So. And I think we nailed it. I think we found a natural evolution of the vehicle that basically kind of invites new people.
Totally.
And also caters to the...
So would you say it's more of a challenge to take an existing heritage vehicle and come up with a new model than it is to come up with an entirely new model?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you go about with the 2015 Mustang? Like, how what what did you decide to change? How did you decide to change it? I mean, how do you make those decisions?
Well, it's through our leadership. For me, it's I collaborate with the designers. Okay. So my personal, like, where I fit in the design process is I'm helping the designer take his sketches and bring them to a 3D world. So there's always going to be, like, on most sketches, there's always going to be some areas where that my expertise comes in. Like, some things may not jive from, like, okay, maybe he'll draw a front view sketch and maybe it won't jive with what he drew in his side view sketch. So that's where I come in, is I assist the designer to nail down, or to work out compromises between what he's looking for on each view. So.
Interesting. And so, can you give us a run through of the tools you use in your process?
Yeah. So the main one is like the software has the ability to import sketches into the software, and it's like, that's like a massive thing, is just because you can import it into your like a side view sketch. You can import it in there and start laying out your curves exactly as the designer has drawn them, and that's the initial start, is getting those curves right in the view. And if you've got good curves, you're going to end up with good surface. So that's.
So how do you, when you look at a sketch, how do you decide if it has good curves or not?
Well, it's always a collaboration. Okay. I find, like, even I always ask for extra eyes to be on what I'm doing, because most of the time I am trying to work extremely fast, and our timing is usually pretty ambitious, and so it's always good to have extra eyes on the
totally.
And
so,
usually we do.
With all the rise in 3D printing and whatnot, do you use 3D printing to kind of help visualize your stuff, or does that come down later down the line?
No, we do use a lot of 3D printing.
Okay.
We will make models that are amazing, and that's part of my job, is to take our, like, headlamps, for example, take the headlamp and make it into actually design parts depending on the materials, or if we need something chrome, we can break that away from the parts that are painted or have different materials on them. So we use 3D printing, what we call rapid prototyping, or
right.
We use it a lot, and we also use milling. We'll use, like, various foams. So we are constantly using that, and that's a huge part of my job, is to interface
awesome.
with the shops on that. So
where do you see the car design process in 5 years? I mean, there's virtual reality, there's rapid prototyping. I mean, things are going to get easier, and so you can focus more on the design. So what's car design going to look like in 5 to 10 years?
In 5 to 10 years, I think I wholeheartedly believe that the clay it's always going to be a factor, just because of the nature of the business. And I think we found that in our design process that there's a hybrid between the two, between digital and clay.
Okay.
In physical modeling. So I think it's going to become less expensive to, like, especially in 3D printing, and it's going to become just basically faster.
Aside from the general process of taking the sketch and moving into the Class A surfacing that you're doing, how do you approach that as a brief? How do you sort of package that when you have all these sketches coming at you? Like, how do you find, like, a cohesive one direction to go with?
Well, that eventually comes down to theme selection, and that's done by our senior management, and actually it starts out, like, you know, the middle management will decide, okay, we're going to narrow it down, and we have in our design process, we have it all spelled out when we go down to a certain number of themes. Maybe we'll start with 4 themes and eventually go down to 2, and then if there's 2 main themes, we'll eventually pursue 1 at a certain point in our design process. So
awesome. So what is your favorite design element of the new Mustang?
I like the tail lamps. I think that they are just so cool.
Yeah.
They actually are very 3D, 3-dimensional, and they also pay homage to the older Mustang with the 3 lights and the sequential. I really think that those are really cool. So
awesome. If you could change one driving law, what would it be?
Well, I wish that they would like the states that don't have that don't require seatbelts. That really puts it really limits the freedom of the interior of the vehicle. That's always one that's always stuck out for me, is because we really do have to design vehicles that are safe with without seatbelts. And I think this day and age, that's one that I would definitely.
Interesting. And so, do you have any advice for an average guy who might want to get into car design or sculpting like you do?
Just follow your passion, and if it's what you love to do. I come to work every day, and like working on the Mustang, it's kind of a dream come true, and basically just stick with it. And also really, if you do go to a school, like learning a program like Alias, really work with your peers, and you can really learn a lot from your peers, and also constantly don't be afraid to ask questions.
Totally. And so, if you could have any car ever made by Ford, what would it be?
GT40.
Okay, GT40.
Yeah.
Excellent choice.
Yeah. That's my favorite car. Yeah. So
totally.
Yeah.
Like favorite car ever, Ford or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from like the late '60s.
Do you ever model it up and kind of tweak it?
No. When I first started, there was they were just starting and finishing the one that they did, that the production ended in 2007, and I would always look at and I would actually get lessons from the 3D modeler who actually modeled the car.
Oh, wow.
He works for Autodesk now, and so he's kind of like a legend. Everyone knew that he's a really, really good surfacer, and and I've always liked it, the fact that it beat the Ferraris in the 24-hour Le Mans, and know, so it's a really cool car. So, and I'm obviously a Ford guy, so
definitely.
So,
well, Kevin, thank you very much for
joining
you us today.
Yeah.
This show is brought to you by CAD Junkie. Step up your 3D content creation game with hundreds of video tutorials ranging from footwear design to 3D printing. Get a free membership now over at cadjunkie.com. Thanks for listening in today, and if you'd like to find out more on the heritage-inspired 2015 Ford Mustang, be sure to check it out at ford.com/mustang/2015. I'm your host, Simon Martin. Stay tuned and check in with us next time on Maker Galaxy.
A production of EBD Media.